hospital ghost visit, a frightening ghost visit that occurred while staying in a hospital. A few years back, I was admitted to the hospital because of severe stomach pains, and they wanted to keep an eye on me, as well as perform surgery. I was drugged up on morphine and had come out of the operation and was in my room with the door closed. I felt very sleepy and extremely sick, and I stayed in the hospital overnight. Not asleep for long, I slept all through the night until 1:03 in the morning when I heard distant screaming. I sat up and I saw dark shadows running past the door on the outside. As I looked to my side, a man around 50 years old swept past me. I asked him who he was, and he yelled at me that we had to get out, that we were in danger. Something wasn't quite right, and then the man started screaming at me. I was still very sleepy, and the drugs were still in my system. So whether I was hallucinating or not, I stumbled out of the bed and followed him. The corridors were different. People were everywhere, dark and sour. We followed everyone else and ran for the front doors, the stitches from my operation stretching. As we piled outside, a trail of fire followed us, and I remember being wrenched back, my stitches splitting, and I just fainted with the screams buzzing in my ears. I woke up later in the day while 3 nurses dabbed at my new stitches, and they explained that I had left the hospital and collapsed. I was escorted back to my room, where I just watched the window, and when I looked to my other side, the man was standing next to me, his face pale white. Then he just said, "Told you that you were in danger," and left. Was he protecting me from a real fire? But why was nothing said about a fire when I woke up? I still wonder what happened. Ghost mist around a body at the hospital. True ghost encounters from inside hospital walls. I have a story told to me by a PSA, a hospital wardsman or orderly that was in the room at the time. I'm a nurse. A woman had just passed away, and 2 PSAs were asked to come in and clean the room up for anticipated arrival of the family. As they were cleaning, one PSA started to jump around in fright. When he was asked by the other orderly what was wrong, he said, "Can't you see it? Can't you see it?" as he was swiping at his legs. He then ran out of the room. When asked later what had happened, he told the PSA that had been working with him that a mist had come from near the body and was surrounding his legs. The PSA who told me this said he couldn't see it, but he was sure something was there because of the behavior of the other fellow. It shook the man up so much that he had to have time off after this. Ghost legs at hospital. True ghost encounters from inside hospital walls. Staff and doctors told me a story while I was working at the hospital. The security camera was watching over the car park and back entrance door to the small hospital. A nurse had decided to look back on some video surveillance for an unknown reason. The security guard had been walking through the car park when suddenly his German Shepherd went crazy, barking at something in front of him that the guard couldn't see. Upon viewing the footage, the following is what was seen. A bright orb descended from up high near some trees and came down toward the concrete of the car park. It then proceeded toward the security guard. As it neared, it appeared to manifest as someone walking. The ghost walked up to the guard and then stepped to the side of him and continued on past. This is when the dog went crazy. As the entity got closer to the door, the legs could be very clearly seen, walking and then disappearing. At the same time as the ghost on the security footage, a patient had passed away at the hospital. When the security guard saw this film, it frightened him as he had witnessed his dog's behavior, but never saw anything. This footage became widely known at the hospital, and all the nurses and doctors swore it was a ghost. When word reached the bigger hospital, doctors who were called in to see the footage were all in agreement. When I was there, I had asked to see the clip, but I was told, not long after this happened, that the hard drive with the footage on it was under a desk in the nurse's station when someone accidentally kicked it and destroyed the hard drive and evidence. On speaking to many witnesses who had seen it, though, I was assured that it did happen. They had seen it themselves and were convinced it was a ghost because of the strange light and the legs seen quite clearly. Nurse investigates. Hospital for ghosts. A nurse investigates eerie activity in an abandoned hospital wing. A few weeks ago, when working at another hospital in internal ambulance, I was told of occurrences in a now unused section of the hospital. I was told of doors that use a swipe card, opening by themselves at night. This was immediately checked to see if it was a security guard, but no one was present. A physiotherapy ball that rolls by itself across the floor has been sighted by a few people, and one driver claims that he saw the apparition of a little girl up in the rafters. I happened to be working there one night and decided to do a base reading with my EMF meter. Then during my break, I sat out in section where the apparition had been seen. No unusual levels were detected with the base reading, and so I sat the EMF meter on the table while I ate. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the meter flash up to the red a couple of times. I was using a K2 EMF meter. Then I moved it out into the center of the floor. A few times during the course of my break, I saw the meter register an EMF field which shouldn't be there, as it was in the middle of a concrete floor. I am beginning to suspect that something is in there now. Hospital visits and ghosts. Empty hospital rooms. Buzzers with no source. I often get told about ghosts and paranormal experiences at 4 different hospitals. Now, as I am a casual nurse who travels to a couple of hospitals, working in different departments, I know a lot of people in different places, and they know I am a paranormal investigator. They joke around and call me the Ghost Whisperer. It's funny how people say they don't really believe, but then they all have something to tell you. I also work in mental health, so you got to be careful what you talk about around psychiatrists. And it's definitely a no-no with patients. I have heard nurses talk about buzzers going off in rooms with no patients, and have actually witnessed this happening myself. One night in a ward, around Christmas, I had a buzzer go off 3 times in the same room, but it wasn't the same buzzer. There were 4 beds, and 3 different buzzers went off. Couldn't figure it out. The room was in darkness. After the first one went off, I checked them all to make sure they were all plugged in securely. I had this gut feeling that someone was having a little fun with me. Hawaiian hospitals. In Hawaiian hospitals, some spirits never move on. I have worked for 2 different hospitals here on Oahu, Hawaii. And yes, there have been reports. Stories and sightings of ghosts, even unexplained after-death experiences, made by both the hospital personnel and visitors. Just like the government, administration prohibits the sharing of ghosts and paranormal experiences outside of the unit, clinic, or hospital for one simple reason: bad publicity. But it happens and often. The sad thing about a person passing is the fact that some still remain or never leave the earth. They remain earthbound, still searching, perhaps for their body, family, or answers. May God bless the earthbound and those who live and work around them. Not all visitors from the other side come to scare. Like this video if you believe. Subscribe for more true stories, and tell us your experience in the comments.